Some stories ask really tough questions, and in The Night Wanderer, we get a big one. What actually makes a monster? We're about to jump into a world where the line between being human and being something else gets really, really blurry.
So picture this. It's a dark night, and the air is just thick with tension. A teenager, Tiffany, is missing. Her family is just beside themselves with worry. And you get the feeling that the woods around their home on the reserve are holding their breath, keeping secrets.
But here's the thing. The biggest mystery might not be out there in the woods. It might already be inside the house. See, a quiet, kinda mysterious guy named Pierre has just moved into their basement. And as we're about to find out, he might just hold the key to this whole thing.
All right, let's start right at the heart of it all. To really get what's going on, you have to feel that quiet desperation, that awful feeling of a family just waiting for their daughter, Tiffany, to walk through the door.
So inside the house, Tiffany's grandmother is just trapped in that horrible waiting game. The phone isn't ringing, and the only sound is this heavy, constant ticking of a clock. Every single tick just seems to make the fear a little bit louder.
And right then, her new tenant, Pierre, walks into the kitchen, and all that pent-up tension just snaps. Her worry boils over. A coffee mug slips, and it crashes to the floor, shattering the silence. It's such a small thing, but it says everything about what she's going through.
She tells Pierre what's happened, that Tiffany had this big blow-up with her dad, Keith, and just ran off. And Pierre, he offers some comfort, but it's strange. It's quiet, almost unsettling, like he understands a kind of pain that goes way deeper.
So they're sitting out on the porch, waiting, hoping a light might guide Tiffany home. But the conversation, well, it's about to take a really dark turn. The grandmother's fear starts to get tangled up with this growing suspicion about the man sitting right next to her.
Okay, this is a huge moment. She starts telling Pierre about the Wendigo, a figure from Anishinaabe tradition. And this isn't just some spooky monster story. It's a warning. It's about a person so consumed by their own hunger and greed that they lose everything that makes them human. And as she's describing this creature that wanders endlessly with a hunger that's never satisfied, she looks right at him.
And then she hits him with this question, just point blank. It just hangs there in the air between them, and what she's really asking is crystal clear. She suspects he's way more than just some guy who's lost his way. She's putting him to the test.
But here's what's so powerful. Even with all this suspicion swirling around, her love for her granddaughter just cuts right through it. As Pierre gets up to go look for Tiffany, all she asks is that simple, desperate plea. It's this incredible moment of trust that's born completely out of fear.
And sure enough, he finds her. Pierre tracks Tiffany to an old treehouse deep in the woods, the one place she feels safe. But this isn't some happy rescue. It's a tense confrontation, and things get out of control fast.
Tiffany is just angry. She feels cornered, lectured, and totally worthless. And in this burst of frustration, she shoves him. He falls from the treehouse. It's a long way down. But the way he lands, his reaction, it is anything but human.
He's not dead, not even close, but he is weak. And we hear his inner thoughts, which reveal the truth. He's been fasting, trying to hold back his true nature, and it's made him vulnerable. He realizes, right then, that he has to deal with this girl before he can finish what he came back here to do.
So, he makes a really surprising choice. Instead of using force, he decides to tell her a story. His story. A story that actually began more than 300 years ago.
To start a fire, he holds out two objects, a modern steel key and an ancient flint arrowhead. It's like his two lives, his past and his present, right there in his hand. And with a spark from the two, he begins to tell Tiffany about a young Anishinaabe man named Owl, who, he says, was a lot like her.
So, Owl was a young man who dreamed of a bigger world. He left home with some French traders, but that dream of adventure turned into a total nightmare. In France, he wasn't a guest. He was treated like a curiosity, an animal. He lost his name, his identity, and then he lost his health, getting desperately sick with measles. The only person who showed him any kindness was a servant girl named Anne. But on the 5th night of his fever, he had another visitor. And that visitor changed everything. He woke up with a new body, new senses, and this terrible burning thirst. When Anne came into his room to check on him, that thirst just took over, and it drove him to attack the one and only person who had been kind to him in that whole foreign land.
And just like that, in one horrific moment, the boy named Owl was just gone. His humanity was snuffed out, replaced by something ancient and incredibly hungry.
So now we're back in the present, by that crackling fire. And you can feel how Pierre's story has built this strange bridge between two people separated by centuries, but totally connected by the shared feeling of pain and loss.
I mean, look at them. You have two people who feel completely and totally alone. Tiffany feels like an outsider in her own life, in her own time. And Pierre, the man who used to be Owl, he's an outsider to time itself, haunted by a past he can never, ever escape.
And when you actually put their pain side by side, the parallels are just wow. Tiffany wants to run away from her family, but Pierre would give anything to see his again. She feels lost now, in the present, while he has been lost for centuries in the past. He sees his own youthful despair right there in her eyes, and it's a painful reminder of everything he was forced to leave behind.
Pierre's story might be over, but for both of them, this moment by the fire, it's a new beginning. They've both hit this critical turning point, and a choice has to be made.
Think about it. Pierre has wandered for centuries, and he's finally come home for a very specific reason. And Tiffany, who just hours ago wanted to disappear forever, she's now at this massive crossroads, forced to decide what she really wants.
And that really is what it all comes down to, right? One of them was made into a monster. The other one feels like a monster. Their paths have crossed for a reason, and what happens next won't be about what they are, but about what they choose to become.